Guess when right after.
Okay, nice to meet you. Okay. Okay, so hey everyone, I'm Matthew, and this is my D4 team.
My name is Alex.
I'm Jesse.
I'm also Alex, but Alexandria is fine.
And we are going to be talking to you guys about mobile forensics today. So this is going to be a fairly deep introduction into Android and iOS forensics. So I will push it over to Alex first. Wait, to talk about the goals.
Okay, so for today's goals, we're going to be asking the questions: how do you operate or how do you prepare a mobile device for forensics work? What are some Android slash iOS system artifacts that we may want to see and do some investigation on? How do we locate and extract these artifacts, and how do we interpret them, as well as some other tools that may help us in analysis. So first off, what we have to do is we have to procure something called an image. And what an image is basically a original copy of a logical slash physical storage device. And that could be any type of storage device, such as a flash drive, an SD card, or hard disk for PCs. But for mobile devices, we want to extract an image off of the device's internal memory slash SD card. And so for Android, we can use tools like Cellebrite, Magnet Axiom, and some other tools that are used in the industry as pretty standard. They're basically suites of tools that have um, essentially what you need to extract an image as well as do some basic analysis. They differ between tool to tool, but for the most part, they'll be used to extract mobile images. You can also be a little technical and do something, use the something called an ADB or Android Debugging Bridge, which is a set of tools made by the Android developers to do what it basically says, debug. But it also allows you to access some other tools that you may want to use for Android forensics, such as doing backups, ADB backups, which will also extract images that way. So now, without root privileges, you can extract most of what the data you want to investigate, such as the internal and external memory access. Um, but real briefly, root privileges are basically equivalent to like on Linux root or on Windows administrator access that'll let you get access to like system files, things like that that are usually locked for a regular user. But if you want complete system access to things such as like the cache, device cache, and the device memory, RAM, you will have to root your device. And there are several ways to do that. They will differ between device to device, but there are a lot of ways to root a device for Android. As for iOS, the process is a little bit similar, minus ADB because ADB is Android exclusive. But for iOS, it's a little bit more contentious because the different type of ways you can procure an image from iOS is very limited. You will have to jailbreak it, which is basically like rooting. And jailbreaking devices is a very hot topic. You won't find for a lot of modern iOS devices, you won't find a lot of ways to jailbreak and get advanced privileges for iPhone devices. That's because law enforcement try and Apple they really pride themselves on keeping their jumping process very secret because they got to keep it away from bad actors. But for this semester, we did use the Pale Rain jailbreak on an iPhone 8. It's available out there on the internet. It's open source. It was a pretty simple process. You just follow the steps. And we also used, it's worth mentioning that we also used UFADE or the Universal Forensic Apple Device Extractor. We used that to extract images for our research team. So the Android file system, once you secure an image, before we do any analysis on it, It's noteworthy to notice like how the file system is organized. Uh, if you can see here on the right side, it is very similar to Linux, and there's a good reason why, is because Android is actually using the Linux kernel. And so it adheres to the file system hierarchy standard for Unix machines or Unix-like machines. But it varies between vendors, versions, and devices because every vendor or every device manufacturer makes their kind of Android operating system a little differently. So you may not see this on an actual Android image that you pull off, but it's good to see like uh, there is a data directory, mount directory, process directory. They're all pretty standard on the on every device. The most important directory that we should keep note of is the data directory because that's the directory that the user that user data is basically captured to. When you use an application on an Android, it saves it to somewhere under the data directory. As for Apple phones and iOS devices, it's also based off of FHS, as you can see here. But Apple being Apple, they do things a little differently. So some of the names and some of the directories have little varying purposes. But for the most part, we're going to be investigating under the private/var directory, which is where essentially all the applications of iOS devices save their data to. You can also take a look at /applications, which are the pre-installed iOS apps that come on every Apple device. So then I'll hand it off to that's Art.
So I'm just going to be going over some important artifacts and where to find them on your images. So if you're looking for messages in Android, that could be found in a couple places, depending on which app you use. If you're looking for Google Messages, that'd be in Data, com.google Android apps messaging, and then databases Beagle DB. And it'd be a bit different if you're using like the native SMS app. It'd be in providers.telephony instead. And for iOS, gonna be looking in the private var directory and then going into the library SMS and looking at SMS.db. And because these are all database files, we're going to need a database viewer. Good one should be DB browser for SQLite. And so this image just shows BeagleDB from an Android device. And you can see in this third column the messages from the phone. And if we're looking for media, this would be pictures, videos, anything from like downloaded images to pictures taken via camera. And so we can see a lot of these on Android will be found in the data/media folder, and then all separate into different folders based on where you got said media from. And it's pretty much the same in iOS, looking in the mobile/media folder there. And we're looking for mail, emails, Gmails, all that good stuff. It'd be in android.gm/databases, and then we look at big top data DB. Again, another database file. So open that up in a DB browser. And in iOS, we're looking in the mobile/library/mail directory. Hand off to.
So these are artifacts for Discord. So first you want to go through the file structure. Discord is stored in like mobile data applications. For usually iOS, they store more in library. And then also they hold cache, meaning emojis and temporary file, just holding files. That's like want to be deleted, but they just store it and they like in a limbo in your cache file. So for Mac, I use a Mac. Sometimes for tools when analysts is for Xcode, they just read plist files. And then CQLite viewers, they open database files. And same with text editors, usually just examine just raw text. So for forensic insight, how I will put it is using OS forensics and also forensics toolkit to examine those files to recover messages, images, and emojis as such. And also, if you want to see the analyze logs and activity data stored in databases. So I just put a picture, just the iPhone X to the iPhone 7. It just transferring basic data, usually gonna take a long time. Um, Also, I want to talk about the forensic toolkit again, and also use autopsy is usually useful for finding Discord data in file systems. Also, what also we learned, this is just in our meeting, one of our meetings, we did Wireshark, which I was fascinated about because it usually monitor traffic, which it could monitor also Discord network traffic. And lastly, other key files is image files, same thing, but use KTX snapshots, database files, store messages, logs activity, and also some password protected. And then lastly, text-based files. Also, they just store plist files, JSON for configurations and data exchange.
Okay, and we also use this pretty handy tool called Aleap. Um, it is a tool that analyzes Android images and presents a pretty nice GUI with all the data, so you don't really have to scrounge around the image yourself and open it up in various apps like the DB browser and stuff like that. So you can see it's almost like a website on the left. There's like all the different categories of data that you can go through and presents them in a pretty nice table here. And there's also iLeap, which is the same as Aleap, but for iOS images. This here would be the application itself where you input the image and then select an output folder, and then it'll give you your data to look at there. Any questions?
So in terms of like the data you have, does your, I guess, device actually hold in like direct information data to like the things you send to the system?
Yeah, so different applications store their data differently, but through our research, we found out that applications, especially on iOS devices, they store their messages and such as for like things like Discord, they do store their messages on a database that we can actually look through. Um,
Yeah.
Very likely, yeah. There like when Discord stores your messages, if it's through a database and you can actually organize it by matching like the UIDs, on Discord it'll identify like every message with a UID, and every server also has UID, and you can also see where that message has been sent, like which Discord server it's been sent through. If you sent it to a friend, you can see like the UID it connects to through users. So yeah.
I didn't realize that they were using something.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. So
We did share elements. How hard would you probably go breaking the iPhone?
in terms of technical knowledge, it was honestly pretty easy because Pelrain comes with in the GitHub it has instructions, and it's essentially like a Python script. So it does most of the work for you in terms of like detecting which kind of vulnerability that it's going to use. When you plug in your device to a PC, it'll detect like which model of iPhone it is and such, and it'll either use Checkmate or there was another um,
Checkmate exploit, you're gonna have to do it because the checkmate exploit is the one that is the only one available for public right now.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, the checkmate it'll use the checkmate vulnerability, which is present on like older mo iPhone models and iOS versions. Um, so yeah, that's basically it. It has instructions. For our research team, we did use an iPhone 8, but I believe uh it works up. I mean, Rain. It works until like iPhone 10, I think. I believe.
I
So
don't need an iPhone.
yeah, I think it's because they use a similar chipset, I believe. So that's why they're both vulnerable to the same vulnerability.
Um, I'll talk about this.
Oh, then I'll hand it off to Matt to give us more details.
That is what we were going to get into. So this Friday, we're going to be doing a forensics workshop. Okay, well, I was going to do it on both an image on iOS and Android for this Friday, but I realized that I only have 2 hours to speak, and it's going to be hard to get a lot of stuff in split into 2 hours. So what I prepared for you guys is a newer version of the iOS image that we've been using to do our research stuff. So you guys can download that. And for those of you guys who are on the Zoom and who have not came to any of these things with the iOS forensics, I also made a document for you guys to set up yourself for processing the image and doing everything in the image that I'm going to do with it. So you can use both QR codes to take a look at the image, download it. It's going to be 22 gigabytes when extracted, about that long. And then if you need to know how to use the software or want to know what software we'll be using, you can take a look at the little document that I wrote, just basically summarizing how to set up everything and how to use everything as well. And yeah, we're using an iPhone 8 Plus for this on the newest version of iOS, which is going to be very awesome for us. So I look forward to doing it next Friday. I mean, I look forward to doing everything this Friday, and I hope to see some of you guys there. And you should probably do this before Friday because, yeah, it'll take it a bit to download since it's 22 gigabytes.
That's all. Let's just give a quick ad for the project team and then we'll. Eric, thank you guys so much.
Cutting off a little bit short today, but that's all right. Really appreciate for everyone being here. Thank you so much for the Forensics team to talking about what they're able to find out this semester, and then I'm really excited to see what's in store for us this Friday. Again, quick announcements. We're having a Thursday social for the holiday events with a whole bunch of clubs during that. That's I think I don't think I said the location. That's gonna be at the library from 7 to 10. So gonna be later in the afternoon, but we'll have a lot of different events, snacks, and food there. So hope to see you there. Yes, we'll post the slides and the recording shortly after this. If you have any more questions, you could either ask him here or on the Discord. But other than that, I think that's all for today. So thank you guys so much, and I'll see you on Thursday, hopefully. All right.